thank you for being here. My name's Charlie Mccarran. I'll be your composer host for the evening, and we have a really fun evening planned for you. And as you can see, we have an amazing group of musicians from the Duluth Superior Symphony Orchestra. So thank you for being here. I also want to say a shout out to Catalyst and Philip Gilpin Jr. for hosting this event for us. It's not every time that you get to see live orchestra playing scores. So a little about my background. I run a festival called Film Score Fest that happens in Minnesota. And we combine filmmakers and composers who sign up. You can sign up for free. And they are randomly paired up, and they get to make a film together and write a score. And we have a live orchestra, much like what you see here, and we premiere around 20 new films with scores live at the screening. So definitely check that out if you're a filmmaker or composer. And I do, myself, I do film scoring, and lately it's been a lot of documentary scoring. So a few of the projects I've worked on, Love Them First is a film that was made by Karl 11. They spent a year going around a school in North Minneapolis and following how the school has turned things around. It's kind of a rough school to begin with, but the principal's super inspiring. And that's been airing nationally on Tegna stations. And Beneath the Ink, you may have gotten a chance to see that this weekend. You can on Sunday too. That is a beautiful short film about a tattoo artist who covers up racist tattoos for people who change their lives around. And actually the director, Cy Dodson, is filming this event, so thanks, Cy, and congrats on the Emmy nomination. And the final documentary I've worked on lately is the one we're going to be digging into tonight, Silicone Soul, a film by Melody Gilbert, Minnesota filmmaker who just moved down to Louisiana. And it just aired on Stars. And this film is about people who fall in love with life-size dolls and even marry them in their own way. So needless to say, it was one of the most interesting and crazy projects I've ever gotten to work on. And the score had its own challenges too. So first I want to play for you the trailer that Melody sent me, which has temp music in it, to just give you an idea of what we were working with.
You're married. Whoa. Sure they weren't expecting that.
Oh, what a little beauty. Oh, darn, she's so precious. She is just a lovely little girl.
This would be the love of my life, Shidore.
I just held her at night and talked to her, and we got through that whole thing together. And I was really scared, and Marina got me through.
So that was what I was faced with trying to score, something like that. And you may have your first instinct is, this is so creepy, I can't handle it. But that's also what I was feeling as a composer, and I thought, well, maybe the music should also match that in some way. And I was even getting that vibe from this music box temp track. So I thought, well, what could I do with a music box and see how that sounds? So the next cue is my first attempt at trying to use that music box style.
I'm sure they weren't expecting that.
Oh, what a little beauty. Oh, darn, she's so precious. She is just a lovely little girl.
This would be the love of my life, Shidore.
I just held her at night.
So that trailer was at the beginning, the intro of the film too. And intros are the hardest thing to do as a composer because you have to get that tone exactly right. And the director said, nope, this isn't working for me. It's too creepy. And so I had to actually go in the opposite direction of my first instinct and make these characters empathetic because John, the main character here, it's an uphill battle at the beginning to be okay with him as a person in a way. So the next cue that I want to share is it's actually after developing the score a bit. The nice thing about a feature film is you can abandon the intro and then work on other stuff and kind of figure out what the sound of the movie is going to be. So this example is kind of my sound palette that I came up with. So for these sound palettes, you don't always have to compose them to picture. Like for example, in the documentary Love Them First that I worked on, I ended up making about 40 minutes of music without even trying to time it to anything. And the advantage of that is the director can then use those pieces where they think it might fit, and it adds to the cohesiveness of the whole score. So now that I had that sound, let's see what it sounds like transplanted into the intro of the film, which was re-edited a bit.
You're married. Whoa. I'm sure they weren't expecting that. Hi, I'm John. I'm a 54-year-old working stiff, living in a retirement community where I'm just old enough to get in and we'll be working for a while, so they love us, they don't mind our lifestyle.
So I want to play another clip from a new scene, and when you watch this clip, think of what I like to think of. Every scene, every good scene has like an inflection point, a turning point where maybe you change your mind about the characters or the scene, what's happening in it. And so musically, try to think about what the inflection point is in this upcoming scene. And the setup to it is that this is John bringing his wife Jackie to the zoo.
Keeps me honest, she keeps me happy. She's trying to learn the Zen from her. She's just so calm and so collected and so much more mature than me.
I hear you. Cool. All right, man. That's not a real person.
No, that's a real person. She's a silicone person.
Am I being silly? Silicone?
No, she's made of silicone.
Why is she here? What is she?
Well, she's my wife. She's my sweetheart.
Oh.
And she doesn't cheat, unlike my ex-wife, who may have been flesh and blood, but then again, she would sleep with anybody except the guy that put the ring on her finger. We're married like any other married couple. You know, it's not legal, but then for a lot of, gay couples wasn't legal till recently.
Is this guy, is this for real?
Doesn't she have a cold?
Is he really serious?
You're so cold.
So for me, the inflection point is when John gets confronted by these guys. And he brings up the issue of, well, gay couples weren't able to be married. And it kind of puts a spin on it that you maybe didn't think about when you first saw John. So everything I have in the score is leading to that point and having the music start out a little bit quirky and then it fades down. And I want to play that clip again, and with the music up a bit, and you'll also see little notes about what I was thinking as a composer for each part of that scene.
Keeps me honest, she keeps me happy. She's trying to learn the Zen from her. She's just so calm and so collected and so much more mature than me.
I hear you. Cool. All right, man. That's not a real person.
No, well, that's a real person. She's a silicone person.
Am I being silly? Silicone?
No, she's made of silicone.
Why is she here? What
Well, she's my wife. She's my sweetheart.
Oh.
And she doesn't cheat, unlike my ex-wife, who may have been flesh and blood, but then again, she would sleep with anybody except the guy that put the ring on her finger. Just, we're married like any other married couple. You know, it's not legal, but then for a lot of gay couples, it wasn't legal till recently.
Is this guy, is this for real? Is he really serious?
So cold.
So that unresolved ending is one of the major reasons I think you should hire a composer, because leaving a scene feeling unresolved is what I think as the arc of the entire movie. You keep the momentum going by keeping people in suspense a little bit. And I realized when I was listening back to all my cues for this movie that every single one of them had some element of feeling unresolved. Even the end credits, it goes into the credits not feeling totally at home. And for the music nerds, it's a lot of times ending on a 5 chord rather than a 1 chord, so you don't feel quite settled. So for this score, all these sounds you're hearing were actually from my laptop and using a MIDI keyboard, because we didn't quite have the budget for hiring an orchestra. But today we have an orchestra, so I think it's about time we hear from them. So, yeah. So, one of the great things about working with live players is that they can change the tone of what I have written on the page just in an instant. So, I want to have them play 4 measures from the next scene, and we will just go off your first instinct and take it away. By the way, Kurt Hattenberger, our conductor. Thank you, Kurt. Very nice, very nice. But this scene coming up is actually a bit lighter in tone, so let's try it again with a little bit more staccato notes and possibly a bit lighter and quieter. Awesome, that's great. So now we're gonna launch into this next scene, and the setup to this one is that John had to get his wife's body replaced. You saw at the beginning her fingers were falling off, and so he actually got a whole new body, but it's still to him the same Jackie. And he wants to show her off to his neighbor friend Beatrice. So here we go.
I like that dress.
Thank you. Yeah, that's her good cream dress. It's one of her best dresses, and she loves it.
What are you looking for?
I got some powder for her lips. It's a perfect color, but it's
They look okay.
just, it takes the shine off a little bit, and it's just, the way it goes over the color she's got.
Do you know how many women would like to buy gloss for their real lips?
Yeah.
It looks like that.
Well, it doesn't have to be that shiny, and it's translucent, and it
Yeah,
looks.
it's sexy. I like to see women with shiny skin too.
Well, it looks so natural with the powder over the silicone paint. So, because the powder's just a little translucent, and it just looks so natural. Huh.
Oh, she looks so pretty.
Well, thank
that
you.
dress.
Oh yeah, that's.
God, I wish I was that skinny.
I'm trying to remember where we got that dress. I can't even remember now.
Look, it's really cute.
She's had it for a long time. You know.
God, she's got beautiful skin, don't she?
Yeah.
I'd like to have skin like that, but I'm Technicolor.
Well, see, you got a positive way. You look at everything so upbeat. You laugh so beautifully.
Well, I almost died in 2005 from breast cancer, so
Yeah.
I promised God I'd be happy and help anyone I can to help him along.
Well, boy, you more than kept that promise.
He gave me $1,200 to buy another stackable washer and dryer.
Well, the old one broke. And you
Just out of the clear blue sky. He said him and his wife sat down and talked about it, and they decided that they should help me because I'm always helping everyone else.
Yeah, I mean...
Is he not wonderful or what?
Well,
they are wonderful.
if she didn't tell us about doing the metal roofs on the trailers, I wouldn't have known. I'd have sat there and not done it and had water coming in.
You're the only one who thought about me. And when you came to my door that day, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So, very nice. Thank you, orchestra. The wonderful thing about also working with live musicians is they can take something that's fairly simple. There's nothing too complex about my score there. It's probably way easier than the stuff you play with the Duluth Superior Symphony Orchestra. But they can take that and give so much life to it. And sometimes you do need that simpler score, especially in something where there's dialogue. So, but thinking of this scene, we had a very similar arc as that zoo scene. It starts out kind of quirky and then falls away to something a little more serious at that inflection point. But the context of this scene is really important too. And this scene is happening actually towards the end of the film. So we don't necessarily need that quirkiness around Jackie because we've already seen her for the whole film. So let's try it again with a different approach to the score. We'll start out in silence this time, and then the music will subtly come in.
I like that dress.
Thank you. Yeah, that's her good cream dress.
That's nice.
It's one of her best dresses, and she loves it.
What are you looking for?
I got some powder for her lips. It's a perfect color, but it's
They look okay.
just, it takes the shine off a little bit, and it's just, the way it goes over the color
Are you
she's
kidding?
got.
Do you know how many women would like buy gloss for their lips so
Yeah.
it looks like that?
Well, it doesn't have to be that shiny, and it's translucent, and
Why? I
it
think
looks...
it's sexy. I like to
it-
see women with shiny
Yeah.
skin too.
Well, it looks so natural with the powder over the silicone paint. So, because the powder's just a little translucent and it just looks so natural. Huh.
Oh, she looks so pretty. I
Well,
love
thank
that
you.
dress.
Oh yeah, that's.
God, I wish I was that skinny.
I'm trying to remember where we got that dress. I can't even remember now.
Look, it's really cute.
I mean, she's had it for a long time. You know.
God, she's got beautiful skin, don't she?
Yeah.
I'd like to have skin like that, but I'm Technicolor.
Well, see, you got a positive way. You look at everything so upbeat. You laugh so beautifully.
Well, I almost died in 2005 from breast cancer, so
Yeah.
I promised God I'd be happy and help anyone I can to help him along.
Well, boy, you more than kept that promise.
He gave me $1,200 to buy another stackable washer and dryer.
Well, the old one broke, and you
Just out of the clear blue sky. He said him and his wife sat down and talked about it, and they decided that they should help me because I'm always helping everyone else.
Yeah, I mean...
Is he not wonderful or what?
Well,
They are wonderful.
if she didn't tell us about doing the metal roofs on the trailers, I wouldn't have known. I'd have sat there and not done it and had water coming in.
You're the only one who thought about me. And when you came to my door that day, I couldn't believe it.
I mean, it doesn't get any prettier than this. It's just nice and warm. The sunshine is mellow. It's not harsh and beating down on you. It's like, wow.
So thank you again, orchestra. So that version was actually what appeared in the film, so closer to that version of scoring. And so that kind of wraps up my section here. And if there's one takeaway, I guess think about inflection points as you're writing or editing, And maybe your composer is thinking along those same lines too, and you can find a common language there.